Wu Zetian, also known as Wu Zhao, was the only female emperor in China's thousands of years of history. As the first woman to seize imperial authority, her rise to power was entangled in endless conspiracies. How she navigated the perilous imperial harem, claimed the throne, and ruled the empire with absolute power. Rising from a low-ranking concubine to queen, then Empress Dowager, and finally the supreme emperor, she was accused of ruthlessly eliminating rivals, including her own daughter. Many saw her as a cruel and manipulative tyrant, a devious politician driven by an unquenchable thirst for power. Yet beyond these accusations stood an empire that flourished under her rule. The population nearly doubled, the once mighty military aristocracy was dismantled, and society underwent profound transformation. She was never a moral exemplar, and she harmed and wronged many along the way, but she never let herself down. In this video, we will recount the life of this legendary emperor, witnessing her rise, struggles and triumphs, and uncovering how she defied the impossible. We'll explore her glory and achievements, struggles and dilemmas, honor and disgrace, and her wisdom and compromises as we journey back to the magnificent Tang Empire. In the final years of the Sui dynasty, chaos engulfed the empire as rebel armies rose to seize power. Wu Zetian's father, Wu Shiyue, was a businessman living through this era of turmoil. But in a society where merchants were regarded as low in status, he sought something greater. He joined the army and eventually crossed paths with a brilliant general from a military aristocratic clan, Li Yuan. Later, when Li Yuan announced his rebellion against the Sui Empire, Wu Shiyue, driven by ambition, invested all his wealth to support him and rallied his entire clan to join the cause. His gamble proved to be a resounding success. Li Yuan overthrew the Sui, crushed rival forces, and established the Tang dynasty. In return, Wu Shiyue was rewarded with wealth and political power. He later married a well-educated noblewoman, and together they had 3 daughters, including Wu Zetian. Growing up, Wu traveled extensively due to her father's various appointments, seeing different corners of the empire firsthand. Under her mother's guidance, an avid reader from a noble background, Wu received an exceptional education. Her childhood was one of privilege, carefree, rich in learning, and full of wonder. But that life didn't last. When Wu was just 12, her father passed away. Afterward, her 2 older half-brothers turned against her, her mother and her sisters, causing them significant hardship. Once cherished, Wu became unwanted, a burden within the Wu family. She began to experience the harshness and impermanence of life far too young. Yet, fate had other plans. She blossomed into a stunningly beautiful young woman, and word of her remarkable beauty and talent eventually reached the emperor. At just 14, she was summoned to the palace as an imperial concubine. Her mother, aware of the intrigue and danger within the palace, tried to dissuade her. But Wu saw it as an opportunity. She was not content to live in the shadows, mistreated and forgotten. Like her father before her, she chose to step into the heart of power, hoping that serving the emperor could change her fate. After the beautiful Wu entered the royal palace, the emperor gave her the name Mei, meaning beautiful, cute, and charming. However, despite her captivating appearance, the reigning emperor, Li Zhi, one of the greatest monarchs in Chinese history, did not take much interest in her personality. For 12 long years, Wu remained a low-ranking concubine, never bearing children or earning a promotion. Despite her beauty, she remained overlooked and largely forgotten. Very few historical records detail her life during this period. But as the emperor's health declined, Wu formed a romantic connection with the crown prince, Li Zhi. No one knew exactly when their relationship began or how far it went, as it remained a well-kept secret. After Emperor Li Shimin passed away, Li Zhi ascended to the throne. According to the traditions of the Tang Empire, the late emperor's low-ranking concubines who had no children were sent to live in an imperial temple. Despite her past romance with the new emperor, Wu was no exception. She was sent to the temple, where she was expected to lead a simple, quiet life, spending her days reading and writing scriptures. Meanwhile, her former lover, Li Zhi, now Emperor Gaozong of Tang, enjoyed a prosperous life. He had a noble queen, several beautiful concubines and children, and he governed the empire with success and contentment. In contrast, Wu was unhappy with her life in the temple. She disliked the isolation and couldn't forget the emperor. Longing for the palace, she began to plan her return, writing down her feelings for the emperor and perhaps even finding a way to send them to him. After a year of hardship in the temple, Wu finally got an opportunity. By tradition, Emperor Li Zhi was required to hold a ceremony to honor his late father. So he came to the very temple where Wu resided. Despite being surrounded by a large entourage, the emperor was once again captivated by Wu's charm, reminded of their past connection. The details of their reunion remain unclear, but one thing was certain: Wu rekindled the emperor's feelings for her. From that day on, Li Zhi began visiting Wu in the temple from time to time. However, he did not bring her back to the palace. He knew that claiming his late father's concubine would be scandalous and would provoke strong opposition from his officials, ministers, and the queen. Queen Wang, a dignified woman from one of the most prestigious families of the Tang dynasty, was carefully chosen by the late Emperor Li Shimin for his beloved son. Highly respected and supported by most officials, she embodied elegance, beauty, and education. However, Emperor Li Zhi never truly loved her, and she never had any children of her own. Instead, his affections were devoted to another imperial concubine, Lady Xiao, who also came from a noble lineage. As his longtime favorite, Lady Xiao had already borne him 3 children, making her Queen Wang's greatest rival for his love and influence. Moreover, Xiao's son was deeply cherished by Li Zhi and was a strong contender for the title of crown prince. Determined to gain the emperor's favor and counterbalance Xiao's influence, Queen Wang devised a bold strategy, bringing Wu back to the palace. To Queen Wang, Wu, with her humble background and past service to the late emperor, seemed far less of a threat compared to the powerful, well-established and much younger Lady Xiao. Thus, with Queen Wang's help, Wu returned to the royal palace. However, this time, she did not re-enter as a concubine, but as an ordinary imperial maid. Wu highly valued this opportunity and did her best to serve both the emperor and the queen. She also formed strong relationships with the other maids, especially those in the palaces of Wang and Xiao. Queen Wang was quite pleased with Wu, appreciating her humility and gratitude. Before long, Wu gave birth to her first son and was promoted. As the queen had hoped, the emperor gradually lost interest in Xiao. However, he did not show greater affection toward the queen either. Instead, he spent more and more time with Wu, drawn by her talent, beauty, and personality. Sensing a growing threat from Wu, Wang and Xiao allied together. Backed by their powerful and noble families, they schemed to bring Wu down. Now a high-ranking imperial concubine with a son and the emperor's favor, Wu also took action to defend herself and fight back. Yet the emperor, seeking to maintain balance, refused to fully side with anyone. After nearly 2 years of mutual defamation and political struggle, a turning point emerged. Wu's 1-month-old baby girl died suddenly after a visit from Queen Wang. Rumors quickly spread. Some claimed that the queen, driven by jealousy, had killed the baby, though she lacked both the motive and any real gain from such an act. Others suspected that Wu herself had orchestrated her daughter's death to frame the queen and pave her way to power. Some believed the baby had died naturally, but Wu seized the moment to turn suspicion against the queen. Regardless of the truth, Wu convinced the emperor, or perhaps he chose to believe, that Queen Wang was responsible. From that moment, Li Zhi began to consider deposing his queen. However, his powerful ministers strongly opposed the idea. To them, Queen Wang was the rightful empress, chosen by the revered Emperor Li Zhi himself. She was benevolent, well-mannered, and came from a formidable family. Moreover, no concrete evidence proved her guilt. Later, when Li Zhi attempted to elevate Wu to a higher-ranking consort, these same officials resisted, unwilling to grant her more influence. During Wu's return to the palace, she faced formidable opposition, an influence so powerful that it could even deny the emperor's will. This force came from the aristocratic families, the very ones Queen Wang hailed from. For centuries, these families had amassed vast power, land, and military strength, posing a significant threat to the stability of any reign, much like how Emperor Li Zhi's grandfather and father had overthrown the Sui dynasty. Moreover, many officials from these powerful clans held key positions in the government, wielding substantial influence. Among them was the emperor's uncle, the brother of Li Zhi's beloved mother. United, these influential clans formed a formidable alliance. Highly talented and resourceful, they had maintained their dominance for generations. As the representative of their authority, Queen Wang was not to be replaced by Wu, a woman from outside the aristocratic families. Emperor Li Zhi, the ruler who empowered the only female emperor in Chinese history, is often portrayed as a kind and weak figure, a mild, timid man who merely followed Wu's lead. In reality, he was a mature, decisive, intelligent, and strong-willed monarch. After ascending to the throne, Li Zhi felt constrained by the powerful aristocratic clans, viewing them as obstacles to his imperial authority. Instead, he favored the rising landlord class, which held far less influence and power and was entirely reliant on the emperor, much like Wu's family. As a result, Li Zhi and Wu became political allies, united not only by love but also by a shared goal: to replace the current queen and challenge the military aristocratic groups represented by Wang and Xiao. Together, they engaged in a series of strategic efforts and eventually gained support from an important and powerful marshal. 4 years after Wu's return to the palace, this determined couple finally placed the queen's crown on Wu's head. Soon after, Wu's first son was named the Crown Prince. The emperor removed Queen Wang and Lady Xiao from their imperial titles and confined them to the royal palace. They were falsely accused of attempting to poison the emperor, a crime they had never committed. Meanwhile, their family members were exiled to distant regions. About a month later, the emperor visited them for old times' sake. He knew that they had been sacrificed in the political struggle for the sake of his imperial authority, and that they were innocent of the charges. However, when Wu heard about this visit, she became furious and worried that the emperor might rekindle his feelings for them, just as he had for her. Wu hurried to the emperor and reminded him of the hardships he had endured to secure imperial power. She emphasized the strong forces still backing Wang and Xiao, warning of the threat they continued to pose. She urged him to demonstrate his determination rather than show weakness. Ultimately, the emperor set aside his personal empathy for the two women, who had been by his side for over a decade, and agreed to let them make the ultimate sacrifice for the stability of his reign. With the emperor's consent, Wu had Wang and Xiao cruelly executed. Queen Wang, who had been chosen as empress because of her noble origins, became a victim due to the powerful clans that had supported her. In the years that followed, Li Zhi and Wu worked together to banish opposition ministers, weaken the aristocratic clans, and promote officials from the rising landlord class. Through these efforts, they cleared the path to consolidate imperial authority under the new emperor. Li Zhi was an exceptional monarch. Under his reign, the Tang Empire reached its greatest territorial extent and experienced a golden age of prosperity. At his side stood Wu, an intelligent and responsible queen, a devoted mother, and a trusted wife. But behind the empire's grandeur, Li Zhi struggled with debilitating health issues. From his 30s onward, he suffered from severe headaches, so intense at times that he couldn't read or govern. In these vulnerable moments, he turned to the one person he trusted most, Wu, his great love and closest political ally. Over time, Li Zhi entrusted her with more authority, and Wu rose to the challenge with confidence and wisdom. She quickly proved her capability. Not only did she take charge of the empire's affairs, but she also gathered a group of loyal scholars, empowering them to help curb the influence of ministers who opposed her growing power. One of Wu's most iconic moves came during the Grand Fengshan ceremony at Mount Tai, the most sacred ritual in Chinese history, reserved for only the most exceptional emperors. This rare and prestigious event was held to honor heaven and earth. Wu encouraged Li Zhi to hold the ceremony and insisted on participating herself. Her reasoning was powerful. The universe is composed of both yin and yang, and ancestors include both men and women. So why should only men be allowed to take part in such a profound ritual? Thanks to her conviction, Wu became the first and only woman in Chinese history to participate in the Grand Fengshan ceremony, a bold statement of her vision, her power, and her place in history. Li Zhi and Wu had 4 sons and 2 daughters. Their first son, a brilliant and benevolent crown prince, was deeply loved and trusted by Li Zhi. From the age of 8, he was groomed to become the next emperor. But tragically, he died young. After his death, their second son, Li Xian, was named Crown Prince. Talented, handsome, and highly educated, Li Xian was not only a gifted writer, but also a strong and decisive figure. Unlike his gentle older brother, he was energetic and assertive, with a keen mind and a powerful presence. His contributions to Chinese literature were notable, and by all accounts, he was well qualified for the throne. Emperor Li Zhi and many court officials held him in high regard. But one person remained unconvinced: Wu. Why Wu never favored her second son has long been a topic of speculation. Some rumors claim that Li Xian wasn't her biological child at all, but the son of her sister and Li Zhi, adopted by Wu to cover up the scandal. Others suggest that his political views clashed with hers, or that his strength and ambition made him a threat to her authority. Some even say he simply refused to obey her during his time as crown prince. Just 5 years after being appointed crown prince, he was accused of plotting rebellion and deposed. Whether he truly conspired against the throne or was framed by Wu remains a historical mystery. Either way, he was removed from power, placed under confinement, and eventually exiled to a remote city. Shortly after his father's death, this once promising heir was forced to take his own life. When Wu was 59 years old, Emperor Li Zhi passed away. In his final will, he decreed that Crown Prince Li Xian, their third son, should ascend the throne and entrusted Wu with guiding him. Aware that his son lacked strength and political skill, Li Zhi believed that Wu, his lifelong ally and beloved partner, would help ensure a smooth transition. After all, Wu had already proven herself to be a capable and visionary ruler. As Empress Dowager and mother of the new emperor, and with her twilight years approaching, it was expected that she would devote herself to supporting her son's reign in her last years. But Li Xian quickly proved himself incapable of strong, talented leadership. He sought to establish his own circle of supporters, but made poor choices, attempting to promote his father-in-law and a distant cousin directly from low-ranking officials to the position of chancellor. When the current chancellor objected to these unreasonable promotions, Li Xian reportedly snapped, saying he wouldn't mind handing over the throne to his father-in-law. Though likely said in a moment of anger, the remark reached Wu, and it was enough. She made her decision. With careful planning, Wu deposed Li Xian, banished him to a remote city, and installed her fourth son, Li Dan, as the new emperor. But Li Dan was emperor in name only. Wu kept him confined within the palace walls and seized full control of the empire for herself. Now, the true ruler behind the throne, Empress Dowager Wu, wielded power without opposition. History would later judge her as a far more competent ruler than either of her sons. But not everyone accepted her rise. Many nobles and generals saw her rule as a violation of tradition, and soon rebellion broke out. Wu remained calm, decisive, and ruthless. She dispatched loyal generals to crush the resistance and punish those who dared to defy her. Some were demoted, others were executed. When 2 noblemen from the Li royal clan launched yet another rebellion, Wu used the opportunity to eliminate potential threats within the imperial family. Under the pretext of treason, she executed numerous members of the Li clan who might challenge her authority, sparing only her own children. As opposition from the noble clans gradually weakened, Wu continued to select and promote talented officials who supported her rule. 7 years after Li Zhi's passing, with her authority firmly established, Wu made a bold and unprecedented move. She declared herself the new emperor. To mark this historic shift, she renamed the dynasty from Tang to Zhou, hoping it would rival the legacy of the ancient Zhou dynasty, the longest-lasting dynasty in Chinese history. In a powerful symbolic gesture, she also created a new Chinese character for her name, Zhao. The character combines the sun, the moon, and the sky, and is pronounced Zhao, meaning illuminating. It reflected her ambition to rule like the sun and moon shining high above in the heavens, casting light on all beneath her. Her brilliant chancellor Di Renjie advised her to name one of her own sons as Crown Prince instead of her nephew, who merely shared her family name. This ensured that after Wu's reign, the throne would return to the royal Li clan. Following this council, Wu appointed her fourth son as crown prince. However, he soon abdicated in favor of his elder brother, Wu's third son. Wu's path to the throne was paved with conspiracies and bloodshed. She faced relentless enemies who sought her downfall, as well as nobles who opposed her legitimacy simply because she was a woman. Yet, as a monarch, she proved to be exceptional. Emperor Wu implemented policies to reduce taxes and promote agricultural growth, which led to a period of remarkable economic prosperity. Science, handicrafts, commerce, and other industries flourished, and international trade was further expanded. During her reign, the population nearly doubled. In her pursuit of effective governance, Wu introduced an unprecedented policy. She invited citizens to write to her directly, whether to recommend themselves for public office, offer suggestions, report corruption, or file complaints. It was a bold move that brought the voice of the people closer to the heart of power. She also reformed and expanded the imperial examination system, adding practical subjects and creating new government positions. This allowed talented individuals from humble backgrounds to rise through merit rather than birthright. Wu even conducted the final interviews herself, personally selecting the best candidates. By prioritizing talent over noble lineage, Wu weakened the grip of the aristocratic clans and systematically removed those who opposed her rule. Under her leadership, many brilliant officials rose to power, including renowned chancellors who strengthened the empire for decades to come, and a formidable marshal who repeatedly defended the kingdom during times of unrest. Though she could be ruthless toward political enemies, Wu was strikingly tolerant, patient, and respectful toward those with true ability. She even appointed the only female chancellor in Chinese history, a highly capable woman from a once rival family. Wu also promoted several female officials and enacted progressive policies to elevate the social status of women. Under her rule, competence and loyalty became the only measures of success, regardless of gender or lineage. Those who proved themselves capable earned power, trust, and respect. Beyond being beautiful, powerful, and decisive, Wu was also a skilled calligrapher and an exceptional polo player. She had a deep appreciation for poetry and literature, making significant contributions to the literary world. After ascending the throne, she kept a number of young and handsome male concubines, even establishing an official bureau to manage and organize them. Among her favorites were the Zhang brothers, both strikingly handsome and talented in literature. With Wu's favor, the Zhang brothers gradually gained influence and eventually abused their power. They manipulated court politics, drove a wedge between Wu and her children, and were even responsible for the deaths of the crown prince's children. Despite multiple attempts by righteous officials to have them imprisoned, they repeatedly escaped punishment due to Wu's protection. As she grew older and increasingly ill, she began to withdraw from court affairs, limiting her interactions with the outside world. During this period, the Zhang brothers, as some of the few with unrestricted access to her, could easily forge imperial decrees, even potentially fabricating her final will, which raised significant concerns among many upright officials. Faced with growing unrest and uncertainty, the chancellor formed a secret alliance with key officials, generals, and Wu's 3 children. Together, they launched a coup that resulted in the execution of the Zhang brothers. Seizing the moment, they pressured Wu to relinquish the throne to her 3rd son, the current crown prince, Li Zhi. Wu ultimately agreed. In a rare act of compromise, she formally abdicated in favor of her son, who then restored the Tang dynasty. Despite stepping down, Wu continued to be honored with the title of emperor and remained deeply respected and loved by her children, officials, and the people. However, after the collapse of her Zhou Empire, she stopped wearing makeup and adorning herself in luxurious attire. She aged rapidly and passed away just a few months later. Before her death, she commanded the pardon of former Queen Wang, Imperial Consort Xiao's family, and several other political enemies she had sacrificed during her ascent to power. She also instructed that her title of emperor be removed and that she be buried alongside Emperor Li Zhi as his queen. Her son bestowed upon her the posthumous title Zetian, meaning following heaven as the law to reign. Wu has often been criticized for her deviant behavior, as she rarely conformed to the expectations of a good woman based on the moral standards of over 1,000 years ago. As a concubine of the great emperor Li Zhi, she was neither cherished nor faithful. Instead, she formed a secret relationship with the emperor's beloved son, and later orchestrated the slaughter of many royals from his clan. As the queen of Emperor Li Zhi, she defied the traditional role of a virtuous queen who was expected to stay out of politics and power. On the contrary, Wu actively involved herself in state affairs, worked relentlessly to expand her influence, and ultimately seized control of the empire. Despite this, Li Zhi trusted and loved her until his final days. As Empress Dowager, Wu did not simply guide her sons in governing the empire. Instead, she took the throne from them, and at times even imprisoned them, creating an atmosphere of tension and anxiety within the royal family. Yet, by eliminating many of the threats to their authority, she also laid a solid foundation for their future reigns. After the fall of the Tang dynasty, her legacy was increasingly painted in dark tones. She was portrayed as a devious, power-hungry figure who would stop at nothing to achieve her goals. And yet, as both emperor and politician, she was remarkably successful. Under her leadership, the empire flourished, reaching new heights of prosperity. The first and only female emperor in Chinese history commanded both respect and admiration, using her political acumen and outstanding achievements to lead the nation. To this day, the controversy surrounding her endures. Her defiance of the impossible, her intelligence as a successful monarch, her achievements and strategies as a politician, her ambition to claim what society told her she couldn't, her courage and cruelty in eliminating rivals, and her profound yet indefinable influence on history and society. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the lives that built a civilization. Throughout this series, we will walk in the footsteps of giants, each shaped by their time and each in turn shaping the course of Chinese history. Their lives were woven with brilliance and flaws, ambition and sacrifice, triumph and tragedy, cunning and wisdom, splendor and compromise, revealing both the brightest and darkest sides of humanity. They rose in times of chaos, stood tall in moments of uncertainty, and dared to dream beyond the boundaries imposed upon them. Their choices carved legacies that continue to echo through time, etched in stone, sung in poetry, and remembered in stories. If you enjoyed this journey, please like, comment, and subscribe to stay connected for more stories that shape the course of history.